S&P Global may have kept the country's credit ratings unchanged, but it's cautioned that ongoing logistical bottlenecks, particularly in railway capacity and port operations, alongside emerging global tariff-related pressures, could constrain economic activity. The ratings agency says the country's ratings have in part benefited from its sizable and sophisticated financial system that provides a deep funding base for the government. It says the country also has relatively strong institutions with good checks and balances, particularly the Reserve Bank. National Treasury said in a statement that its growth strategy will continue to focus on maintaining macroeconomic stability to reduce living costs and grow investments, as well as implementing structural reforms. Chief Economist at Efficient Group, David Roth, says while S&P affirming South Africa's credit rating is positive news, he is doubtful about the economic growth prospects given the challenges the economy faces.
The decision by Standard & Poor's to keep South Africa's rating unchanged, and in fact to keep it on a positive outlook, is certainly very, very good news for South Africa. However, there are two important variables that can affect this over time. The most important, obviously, is that economic growth must be achieved. I'm quite concerned about that. I'm not so sure the economy is going to grow sufficiently in order to maintain the current economic outlook of Standard & Poor's. And secondly, it's also crucially important to maintain and to keep the government of national unity intact. So those are the two variables that will be important over the next time. But so far, very good news for South Africans that Standard & Poor's has decided to keep South Africa's rating unchanged, but the outlook to keep that at the positive is especially good news.
Nedbank senior economist Isaac Matsero says S&P Global affirming the positive outlook is good news, despite the economic headwinds the economy faces at home and amidst the unfavorable global environment.
The trade war between China and the U.S. has dampened the global outlook, particularly for demand, and South Africa, as an export-dependent economy, will likely be affected. On the local front, disagreements about the budget within the Government of National Unity have raised concerns that economic policy implementation, particularly that relating to macroeconomic reforms, could be delayed. Additionally, logistical constraints remain a drag on the economy, but it is encouraging that both on the electricity front and the rail and ports front, some improvements have been seen. Overall, the outlook for the South African economy over the next 2 to 3 years is looking brighter than the past 2 to 3 years.
S&P says it expects general government debt to average 80% of GDP over the fiscal period 2025 to 2028. This is slightly above government estimates, which forecast debt peaking at 76% of GDP this year and then falling to around 74% by 2028. This comes ahead of Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana's presentation of a third national budget this year, expected this coming Wednesday. Meanwhile, Moody's downgraded the U.S. credit rating from AAA to AA1 due to its high level of government debt and rising interest costs. Fitch and S&P have already downgraded the U.S. to below the AAA rating. Gloria Sefakomosi, SABC News, Johannesburg.